We're live.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the What's Interrupting Your Life show. I'm Wendy from Big Girl Interrupted. Big Girl Interrupted is myself and Hazel are both internal transformation coaches. We help women become uninterrupted in their mindset, intimacy, and business. We kind of cover it all. So as I mentioned, I'm Wendy. I am a mother, grandmother. I don't like to say grandmother. We're going to say nanny because that's what my grandkids call me. And I have worked in the social services field for close to 30 years. And we decided to take my thoughts anyway, and in my part of things to the next level and open a business, Big Girl Interrupted. We are dedicated to our community, and this is part of one of the things that we do to show that. So I'm going to pass it over to Hazel to introduce herself.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Hazel. And as Wendy said, I'm one of the co-founders of Big Girl Interrupted. And I am an internal transformation business coach. And I help women who, in the first 5 years, start up their business. And if they've had a business for a couple of years and they've been stuck about how to show up in their business and where they need to go, I help you unpack that and send you on your way. Start making some cash.
Nice. And I'm just going to put a little plug in here that Hazel is the guru to go to for your business. So make sure if that's what you're doing, go and check her out. So today we have the absolute pleasure to be chatting with Karen Sabo, who is an incredible human being. I have to say that. She's an incredible human being in every way that you could think of. She's definitely a mental health warrior. She is an author. She's a mom. She has all the different roles. As we know, like many of us do, we take on so many roles in so many ways. I'm going to let Karen introduce herself, and then we'll get into it.
Leave it. Hi.
The beauty of lives.
I'm Karen, and I am the voice behind the NC Butterfly, a website blog that I had begun to help me get through motherhood and mental health. So after the birth of my son, I went through some really bad postpartum depression and anxiety, and it took me a while to find my voice and how to connect with a world now as being a mom and having mental health. So I decided to put those two together and start something where I can let out my thoughts and the words that went rambling around in my head and put it onto paper and try to connect with other moms and parents who were going through the same thing. And it ended up being quite successful, and I had some kind of great connections that I made with fellow parents and other moms that are dealing with mental health. So
I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really postpartum depression and anxiety are something that I think as women, a lot of the time we don't think that we should have those things because that makes us somehow not moms, right? It makes us crazy moms or whatever we think it is. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to really just put out to you how brave I think that you are. And I think you're you're the poster child for mental health warriors, especially when it comes to motherhood. So my question then would be, how did you know what happened in terms of your depression, that you knew that it was postpartum? Did you have support that helped? I mean, so many of us go through that and we don't know that we're going through that. And then we feel shame. So we don't step up and ask for the help that we need. So how did all that come about?
Well, I've lived a life of depression and anxiety since I was in high school, so I knew that it was a possibility. So I kept my eyes open. But I didn't realize the slap in the face kind of intensity it would be when it finally took over. The thoughts were very dark and scary and terrifying. The anxiety, I wear hearing aids. So I would sleep with them in all the time. I would have the voice monitor and the video on, and my husband wasn't sleeping and nobody was sleeping because I had to be able to hear him all the time, even though my husband would be like, I can hear him. And I'm like, no, what if you don't? I had to be the one. It became more of a control thing. Like, I'm the mom and I have to hear him and I have to be there. And there's no letting go. And there's that pressure that society puts on moms that you have to be, right? You need to be the one they always go to after pregnancy, and breastfeed, don't breastfeed, and co-sleep and don't co-sleep, and wear your baby and don't wear your baby. And there's a lot of pressure. I let the noise from the outside and the books and the websites and the internet and the like everything, I let it take over. And I pushed my instinct to the side and followed the wrong advice, I would say.
Wow. And, you know, I think, Hazel, I don't know if you would agree with this. I think that, you know, new moms today, not to say that moms from back in the day didn't struggle, but I think you're right. You're so inundated with all of this information and everybody's opinions from everywhere. We didn't have that struggle, really. I mean, we had the people that chimed in and like to use, you know, like to talk. Really, when I had my son, it was just the beginning of like the self-help books and do this way, and then no, do it this way. So I never actually really thought about the challenges of that until this very moment.
Yeah, you go online and the baby books are like, you're going to feel this and then do this, and all the advice that you get, and it's so overwhelming. And if you're not breastfeeding, then you're a terrible person, and if you're not co-sleeping, then your baby's going to become a psychopath because they're not going to have the attachment. And if you attach too much, then your kid's going to be too attached, and then they'll have other kinds of issues. And there has to be a label for every child for everything you do, and everything is wrong, no matter what.
Wow. And now enter postpartum depression. Wow. Right?
Right.
Holy, what a lot to take on. Thank you for actually having this conversation, because I really, really never looked at it that way. And I feel like I'm a pretty open person, but I never really, till this very moment, really kind of got that. So no wonder I would say we're probably at an epidemic level in terms of postpartum depression and anxiety for moms. And now we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's constant. I mean, my mom was like, what is the problem? Why just do what you want to do? And I'm like, no, but here it said on the internet, it says you can't do that. But here it says you should do that. So now I have to not do that while I do that.
And it's even harder when you're a literal type of person, right?
Exactly. Right.
So you struggle even more.
Absolutely. And it's too much. I fed on iron. Does he have enough iron? I don't want him to be anemic. Is he getting enough iron? It says here he needs this much iron. What has iron? And it's constant. And do you make your own baby food? Oh, you buy store bought? Ooh.
Yeah, you need to make your own food. But you can even get those voices and those experiences from family members, right? So there's traditional things that, kids shouldn't be eating. I didn't feed you that way. You need to feed your child this way. There's all of that pressure on top of all of what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's that old school, the old traditional ways of doing things. I wasn't breastfed as a child, so it was hard for my mom to understand what the big deal was. Completely healthy. I grew of weight. I'm average all around. So obviously bottle feeding is not any different than breastfeeding. It was, if you don't breastfeed, you're bad. And that's what I allowed myself to convince myself. It snowballed. And then breastfeeding, it's this and it's this and it's this. And
wow.
Back from that.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of hopped right into, because I think, is it fair to say that this was the interruption in your life? It was or is? Is it a current interruption in your life?
It was, and then I believe that the anxieties that I feel as having a mother, being a mom, I was always, is he tall enough? Is he losing his teeth fast enough? Is he behind? Is he? I think that keeps my anxiety at like. It used to not be so bad before I became a parent, but I always rode in waves. But ever since I become a parent, it like perches right here. It's like we're just gonna camp out until I'll let you know when.
Wow.
I feel like it's
Camping out's okay as long as it's camping out in the tent and it doesn't need to come out.
exactly. And some days are worse than others. Some episodes are worse than others. Some things trigger more than others. Like this new lockdown of kids are going to be home, and even though
Ooh, nice. Collectively, I think we collectively need to take a breath there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel energy and that kind of stuff. I literally could feel the whole province just kind of go today with the announcement.
exactly
Parents everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would call myself an empath. I know a lot of people think it's a ridiculous term, but I take on the feelings of others, especially, and my son is very much like me in the wild
There's no words for it. It's just a hand gesture.
So we just six. And I take on that a lot, and it's heavy. I'm heavy and heavy, and it's a lot of the time you have to step back. So I think
you do. Yeah, I
interruption
get
of my
it.
life is anxiety.
Yeah. Wow. So I think I'm really interested in terms of your outlet that you chose, right? Which was to write. So first of all, I want to know where the name Antsy Butterfly came from.
My husband came up with that.
Oh.
Thing. And then as I was sitting there, I was doing this. And then when that's my tell. My leg will kick, my arm will fidget. He's like, you're so antsy. And he's like, antsy butterfly. And I was like, I am a very antsy person. And when I was younger, my mom used to call me a social butterfly because I could never sit still and I was always moving and I was always going to a friend's house. And at school, my teachers would all say, Karen's lovely, but she can't sit still. Like she's up and she's moving and she's talking and she's moving. And so I figured that it was a good combination of who I am now and what I was then to bring it together. And that's kind of who I am.
I love that. I actually love the name. I love the name.
Thank you.
And you can almost get a picture of it, like this butterfly just just
fluttering
around trying to find its space where it's going to land, and then that space is not good enough, and yeah.
I had some doubts about it because, of course, I have to second guess everything I do and all of my choices.
Right.
But every time I bring it up to someone, they say the same thing. It's indicative of you. It's very it's a good name. It's suitable.
It is. Yes. Yes.
And
so
then,
we know how you realized that what was interrupting your life. So where are you in the path of interruption now? Where are you working? How long have you been working on becoming uninterrupted? How about it? Yes, just a straight out question.
I would say since my kid was born, I had more control of the situation before he was born, and now it's more of a constant. And I have to be a lot more aware. I'm snappy. I'm impatient. The pandemic is doing me zero favors because there's always that worry. And he's an only child, so he's by himself. I don't want him to be by himself. I want him to be able to play, but he can't. So where I am now, and I'm blocked. I can't. I've been spending a lot of time doing I took up writing to be it's cathartic, and I get it out, and then it's on paper, and then it's no longer sitting on me. So it's
Right.
sleeves. But lately, I've been watching a lot of television and not reading, and I feel like the words are not floating, and they're kind of just staying put. And so I've been having trouble with the writing. So I started memeing a little bit just to make fun of it, I guess.
Right.
In the meantime. So I've been doing it for like 4.5 years now. So I'm hoping that I can get back into writing because it's very helpful. Like the way that I get it out and I'm typing and everything is, and then push it out and then you feel that relief.
Right.
So
it's almost like you need to do a reset, figure out what your reset would look like, and then you can tackle it again.
I agree. Reset. That's exactly what I need. Button.
We need a button. Everybody just needs a reset button. That's what we'll do.
Right.
Oh, I actually just came up with a brilliant idea, Hazel. We'll have to talk. Remember reset button after. So
push it.
What were or are some of your biggest challenges
right now?
Yeah.
Thinking before reacting.
Ooh, good one.
Not no, right away. Not every time my kid says mommy, because I've heard it 400 times already in the last minute, saying, what do you want? My hearing, it's been a pain in the stuff. It sets me off. It's one of my triggers now.
Right. So like, was it not a trigger before then?
No, not so much because I read lips.
Right.
No lips. There are no lips to read. So I've been saying it a lot more. I think I've told more people in this past year that I'm hearing impaired than I have like in a very long time. I would say all my life, but I feel like that's dramatic.
Right.
Because I was like 7 or 8 when I got my first hearing aid, so that's a long time.
Well, I mean, and that's actually a really good point, because if people were just watching this right now, they would have no idea that you're hearing impaired.
Yeah.
I know when I first met you, I had no freaking clue. And so you've managed this life really and truly for so long with just figuring it out. So then this little person comes into your life and now you got to refigure shit out, right?
Right?
Yeah.
It's
kudos to you, my friend.
It's intense.
Yeah. Is it becoming a little bit easier with his age now that he's older? Maybe, yeah.
He knows.
Does he know?
Yeah.
Oh, he does know. Okay.
He knows he has to look at mom when he wants something. He doesn't do it all the time. He can barely look at anyone when he's unfocused. Again, me, just small. But he knows mom can't hear, turn around, look at me when I speak so that I can read his lips, or he wants to play with them sometimes. I'm like, they're not toys, man. Can I try it on? No. Big, first of all.
The child's curiosity is never going to be, it's forever. You never know what they're going to ask. So I could see how that would be a thing. Hey, how does this work for you, mom? Like, you must want to just know and figure it all out, right?
It's like a microphone, right? Like, what is cool? Is it going to be cool? And I'm like, it's going to be loud, and I'm going to preserve your precious little ears and hearing for as long as we can. Go to clubs and burst them when you're a teenager, but right now.
Right?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's
he's nowhere near that age yet, so you still got time.
Do I I feel like every time I turn around, he's turning another age.
Well, you technically don't have much time because by the time you open your eyes and open them back up, close them and open them back up, he's like a man. So,
it's so true.
enjoy every painful moment of it.
Right.
And you know,
come back.
One thing that we all, the three of us right now currently have in common is that we are all mothers to only children, only boys.
Only boys.
All
That's
three of
true.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. You blink and they're grown and living their own lives and found a wife and
yeah.
You
But I
know.
hear a boy always wants his mom.
Who says that?
Yeah, that doesn't always work.
No. No. They know when to come around for their mom. You have a purpose. You have a clear purpose in your life. Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's your takeaway. Spend every
Yes. Enjoy every painful, disgusting, narcissistic, because the teenage years bring out the narcissism, let me tell you. If there's anything to really, really gauge narcissism towards, it's and sorry if anybody's watching that's a teenager. I was an asshole, and most of us are, because we are going through that stage of nobody knows better than me, because we're trying to detach, right? So
exactly.
Maybe we shouldn't call it narcissistic because it just looks narcissistic. It is not necessarily narcissistic.
Well, technically, they're in the narcissist stage of their life because they can only perceive themselves right now. So or that nobody else has ice cream. I don't have ice cream. What they see, and I'm like, dude, pop your bubble, honey.
I guess our only hope is that we've raised them well enough that they grow out of the narcissistic state.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Understand that you're not the only person in this world. There are a whole ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nobody's going to care. That's, I think, one of the hardest lessons is no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you need
I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. That no one cares. You need to do for you.
Yes. I remember, when my son was growing up, having to have, because he had struggles in school and stuff, and going through that, me stage. And I was like, dude, you're getting too old now. Like, really and truly, everybody has a story. I'm not, I care because I'm your mom and I'm always going to care. But at the end of the day, you're just dealing with 10 million people that all have their own versions of their own stories of hurt and whatever it is that's going on. Mm-hmm. So you got to find a way to clean that up. So
I think that's one of the most important lessons, important things to keep in mind. Everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, it's so true. So now we're decided we're going to do a reset button. What are your next moves, Miss Karen Sabo?
It's the breathing.
Beautiful.
We try to do 7 to 9 sun salutations a day to clear the energy. I'm not always successful. I feel like try is the key word I'm using.
But at least you're doing it.
Yes. In the mornings, I've dedicated my mornings before I have anything else. I drink a hot water with lemon, turmeric, and black pepper. And that sets my digestive system on the right track because I can eat a lot of garbage. Mm-hmm. And that sets me on a good path for the day. So I take my vitamins, I take my medicine, I take what I need to take. I take my vitamin D drops. I make sure that everything is, I want to set myself up right for the day. And if something fails, then at least I know that I started right.
Right.
And I can't control anything else around me. That's all I can control is how I take care of myself.
And that is a beautiful statement because as moms, all too often we feel like our first and only priority is our child.
Yes.
Right? And that's really and truly not the case. Our first and only priority at the beginning of the day, not to say that child doesn't come into it, but it is, you need the mask on the airplane first.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. You getting up and taking care of yourself every morning. There is some power and beauty in that. And I hope that anybody that hears that, this really takes that to heart, because we need to know that that's okay and give ourselves permission at the end of the day.
Absolutely. If you can't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anyone. And it sounds cliche, but it's absolutely what it is. Like,
yes,
if I'm in a bad space, I can't care about your problems. And however big your problems are, I mean, it's a small kid and he's complaining about whatever. So, and to me, it's ridiculous. But to a 6-year-old, it's not. But if I'm not in a headspace, I can't care about what he cares about. And so it just stumbles, and then it causes more volcanoes to erupt and more madness and more clouds of fog that just and then I end up with a hippo on my chest and I can't breathe and it's heavy. And so I do my best to try to start it with healthy. And then
so my question then would be, when you've done all that stuff and then, things go to shit, how do you deal with that then? Are you able to be forgiving of yourself and say, okay, I started my day off, things went to shit, tomorrow's a new day? Are you able to see that far in? Or do you
no, I cry first.
Do you?
I do.
That's okay.
I'm emotional, very sensitive. And sometimes a big fat cry really, really helps. Like I just really big, ugly cry where I'm sobbing. And Eric has become really good with it, my son. And Mom needs some time, and he'll look at me, give me a hug and walk away. So he understands. I let him see me like that because that's the truth of this. I'm not Mary Poppins skipping around baking. I'm this mom, and he needs to know that's who I am. And then after some thought, you dust yourself off and breathe and carry on, because now I have to move forward.
To me, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think we shelter our kids so much of our own pain sometimes, and that's not real. Then that's when that idealism of, when we get to our teens and we realize, holy shit, my parent's just a person. Right? Because we've built them up so big our whole lives, and they're like this superhero, and then you start to see their flaws because you start to have your own things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's some power in your child knowing that from a young age, but still feeling safe. Like you have this balancing act done really nicely, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it. I don't want him growing up and then all of a sudden seeing me and being like, what's with mom?
Right.
Growing up and my mom had some issues and she had a hard time, but she always loved me and she always tried to move past it. And I apologized to him. I'm sorry. I was in a bad place. This is where we are now. I'm very sorry that I snapped on you, or I'm very sorry, but we need to talk about it. And he's young, but he needs to know the language, and he needs to be able to communicate with me about stuff. I think it's important for our relationship.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Good for you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Although I'm finding it a little bit overwhelming to keep up with all the socials.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets to be a lot, right?
Yeah.
But they're all at the same tag at NC Butterfly. It's all the same across the board. I'm not trying to be fancy here. So got to keep it.
Definitely at the bottom of the show notes.
Yes.
Live, yeah. So they can connect with you there for sure.
Thank you. And yeah, I talk with people from everywhere. It's really nice. I get little messages sometimes. say thank you for saying what I'm trying to say, and I can't get the words out. So there's a lot of connection, and it's lovely to have that connection.
Right. And then also, I just want to mention that we didn't mention is that you're an author, obviously, of your own blog and your own stuff, but you also have some writing in a book.
I do.
You
I wrote
do.
a piece in the unfiltered story of pregnancy, and it's just about your pregnancy stories, and it's just a lot of wonderful authors in there writing small essays to tell the truths about pregnancy. It's not on television. This isn't Full House or Family Matters, and we're not all, you have a baby and then you're like, whoo. There's a truth to it that I think that mothers and parents would really appreciate hearing what really is, rather than what we see on TV in the movies.
The measuring stick we put up against ourselves, when we feel like we don't measure up against this unrealistic scripted world.
Exactly. We are not all This Is Us.
Yes. Although I gotta say, I love This Is Us.
I love the show, but feel like sometimes
right,
the situations are a little too good to be true.
Yes, very true.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to hand you over to Hazel so she can wrap us all up in a nice little bow and give us some rapid fire questions.
Yeah. So, as Wendy said, we love wrapping up our interviews with 3 rapid fire questions. So your first question is, are you ready?
Yes.
What is one strategy that you would recommend to women who are currently experiencing interruptions in their life?
One strategy, step back and write. Write down what's on your mind so it's not sitting on you, and then you can look at it, and then it's out there. I found it very soothing and relieving, and it drops my energy a huge amount when I just put it on paper. That way you're not constantly thinking about it. I'm not going to remember. No, you wrote it down. You'll remember.
And you just it's like a cleanse. You just let it go.
Right? It's your release.
Love that.
Amazing. Thank you. Question number 2. Who's someone that inspires you?
My grandmother.
Aww.
I miss her so much. She died 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't get over it. She was a remarkable, amazing, strong, brilliant woman who could do everything. She could do everything, and I would love to be able to be someone as strong as she was. I think also my nephew has a heart transplant, and he's a real survivor and warrior. So I personally think he is her. So if I could follow those 2 in their path of resiliency and survival, then I think I'll be okay.
Can I just offer you something?
Yes.
I think that you are also your grandmother, and if you probably had she had an open dialogue like you do with your son, you would have known her struggle too. Because I 10,000,000% guarantee that she struggled behind the scenes as well. Yeah. She was just a woman that was taught that you don't show that.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong. She was very whatever happened moved. She's a Holocaust survivor. She came to the country. She didn't know English and everything. She just made it work. Always made it work. But you're right. I would have never known about and of her personal struggles because she was strength. That was all she was to me.
Right. Amazing. Thank you. Question
Yeah.
number 3. What is a non-negotiable? What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Kindness.
Mm.
Must be kind. I
Mm,
mean, we can all be catty and have our moments of the,
right.
but I think at the end of the day, be kind. Just be kind. You don't know everybody's story, and that's something I work on all the time, is to leave my judgment at the door. I'm guilty. I have my own, I have my times where I don't follow through all the time.
Right.
It's I say to my son all the time, it doesn't matter. You don't have to play with everyone. You have to be kind. There's no other way. You have to be kind.
I
What a great
agree.
message. That's a great message.
That's a great trait to instill in him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
He cries sometimes. This kid doesn't want to play with me, and I'm like, that's fine. Walk away. Don't be mean. You don't have to call names. You don't have to say anything. Be kind. Say okay and walk away.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today. I love chatting with you.
I always love chatting with you. We can have the longest chats.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You. I haven't seen you in years. So
Years.
yeah.
No, wonderful. Like seeing your face and hearing your voice on Big Girl and seeing what you guys are doing. I think it's really amazing.
Thank
you.
Really wonderful initiative. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with our community.
Thank you
keep
for
being amazing and being an amazing mom.
Thank you. But thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the time and seeing you and being able to talk to you. Reconnecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when this is over,
yes,
maybe we can do another gathering again.
Yes.
100%.
That would be nice.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.